Small and medium-sized businesses are the backbone of our economy.
Hi, I'm Dave, and this is the BackBone Small Business Podcast, a COVID-19 edition. And we're actually branching out. I'm in Canada, and I've been speaking with mostly Canadian businesses, but I do have a strong connection to the States and California. And today we're speaking with Todd Mayster of the Mayster Group, and he's heavily involved in the financial side of things. And he's going to help explain what is happening stateside, south of the border, not quite down Mexico way, but down California way, because it's south from us. Todd, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to reach out to people and kind of let them know, like you said, what's happening down south here.
Yeah, you and I connected through a mutual friend, Murray, and he was nice enough. And you worked with Murray at US Bank, correct?
Yeah. So before I started the Mayster Group, I worked for US Bank for about 9 years. That's how I've met Murray. We did a fair amount of business together. When I was with the bank, he was my SBA partner. I basically was a business banking officer, which allowed me to work with businesses, lending them money for things like lines of credit, business loans, commercial real estate lending, and also, SBA lending and equipment financing. So it really allowed me to help businesses grow through normal situations, obviously, let alone what we're going through right now.
Yeah, so are you still involved in, is the Mayster Group still involved in commercial lending?
Yes. So when I left the bank and started the group, I was solely focusing on doing commercial lending. And then when everything started happening towards the end of February, early March, I started getting a lot of calls from people, clients, past clients, and they started asking me questions. So I started researching and started reaching out to a lot of people I know. I've been lending since '98, doing some work with SBA since 2004. So I have a fair amount of resources, connections I started looking into and talking to. And when I started realizing the severity of all this and really some of the questions I was getting, I realized that people really need help kind of navigating these waters. And I decided to really change my focus from working on commercial real estate loans to helping people navigate the SBA through the disaster assistance loan, and then the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program.
So now the federal, these are all federally backed programs in the States, is that correct?
Correct.
I know that I have a little bit of experience in attempting to go after. I had some American business partners for a while. I did have a non-toxic dry cleaner in Whittier in Los Angeles for a period of time. And that's where I tried to get, I had American partners and trying to get Murray to help us out with the SBA. It didn't work out, but I know a little bit about the process. But now, is that the main vehicle through which small business owners are able to access bridge loans, or what are some of the vehicles, financial vehicles, are able to access?
Sure. So when you're talking about the SBA, the two main programs they have going right now are the SBA Disaster Assistance Loan, or the EIDL, and then you also have the Paycheck Protection Program, or the PPP. Both are through the SBA. The difference is the PPP is usually being handled through banks to help with underwriting for the SBA. So you actually have to be a SBA approved lender in order to be able to be taking PPP applications for people. So you have, obviously your main bank is where most people are going, obviously, because they already have your information, they have your account information, they have the KYC, the know your customer, which is important when doing any kind of lending through an initial bank. That's why they're guiding people mainly through their original banks. But there are other third-party lenders out there. They are commercial lenders, licensed and able to go through, to do SBA loans. Companies, I don't know if I can say their names, but like a company like Lendio, for example, they are a non-traditional bank, but they do commercial lending and SBA loans. So they are allowed to take PPP applications for people. So for those clients of mine that I've dealt with, that were with like Wells Fargo, who obviously has had some issues with regards to this process, and some other banks that have not been able to really get on to help their clients. I have taken some of my clients through third-party lenders like Lendio because they're actually able to process these PPP loans on behalf of the SBA.
So how does the PPP loan program work? Because in Canada, there's two payroll programs that they've launched, and without getting into all the details on it, it's a pay and apply for reimbursement model. So you pay your payroll and then you apply for reimbursement down the road. Can you explain? Let's use my company as example. Let's assume I was still open in Whittier. I've got payroll. How do I apply and what do I do? What are some of the what's some of the real information that I need to bring to my bank to acquire that?
Of course. So let me just start off by saying, this program was basically put in place about a week and a half ago, right? This was signed into law literally about a week and a half ago, last Friday, but 2 Fridays ago. And I know there's a lot of animosity right now because people are just like, this is taking too long, we need money. But if you look at how fast they put this program together, in 1 week, they went from approving it to starting to take applications. And this is a very fluid program. So there are changes that are happening. Even today, there's still changes that are happening to things. So to just keep in mind when I'm telling you what the process is, it is subject to change because there are clarifications coming, I don't want to say daily, but often on this. So basically what it is they're looking at payroll. Again, payroll is the main focus of this program. So you take your average monthly payroll for your payroll, not including 1099 people. They did have 1099 was included initially and then has been removed. So it is strictly just your payroll. So you take your payroll, you multiply by 2.5 times, and that gives you the loan amount. So if in your dry cleaners, if you've had to lay people off, okay, you can bring them back on payroll. So if your total payroll, let's say, for example, was $50,000, you'd be applying for a $125,000 loan, okay? And I want to stress loan because this is a loan, okay? Now, in 8 weeks after you get your money and you have the ability to bring the people back that you've laid off, so you'd have your full payroll back. After 8 weeks, you have the ability to apply for forgiveness. So these loans are designed to be forgiven. They're not designed to be 2-year loans, okay? But when you're taking them out, I stress to all of my clients, just know this is a loan. And once you get the money and you bring your payroll back and you start paying everybody like you're supposed to, after 8 weeks from there, we can apply for forgiveness. That way you won't have any debt incurred from this at all. But it is being done as a loan.
Right. So presumably, as time goes by, they'll clarify what the forgiveness parameters will be, and hopefully it'll be fairly broad that people will be able to get that forgiveness, right?
Yes, that is the goal. So when this all started, I made this statement, and people I was talking to that these programs are really going to be designed to stave off 30+% unemployment and keep us from really dipping into a horrible depression. Obviously, we're in a recession where, some people will say it's a depression. Some people will say we're not there yet. That's up for debate. But it's really to stave off the unemployment and really help businesses. So when we are past this, you go back to work, you open up your doors, you turn on the lights, you turn on your computer, and you get back to work. That's the true reasoning for behind these loans. And so I'm really making sure that the people that I work with, at least, this is what they're doing. Because some people, of course, are going to try to take advantage of the program. It always happens that way, unfortunately. But it's from what I'm seeing, from how it appears it's going to be impacting people, it really will help people not have to go through unemployment and help businesses get back to work when this is all over with.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, because you want these businesses to be open and functional, however long it takes, whether it's 8 weeks, 12 weeks down the road, where they, start to ease people back in with the rollout, whatever Fauci recommends and says, let's get people back to work in this controlled manner, that these businesses are open. And it also staves off such massive amounts of unemployment filings, which is certainly what I'm seeing. I mean, 6.6 million people was the number this morning that I read online. That's insane, really.
Yeah, they're saying 1 out of every 10 people are now unemployed because of COVID, and it's drastic. And if people are using this program correctly, you're going to see that number plummet in the next. Assume they start getting this money out in 3 or 4 weeks, which again I really want to reiterate, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. They're moving very quickly with this. I mean, you try to apply for a normal SBA loan, and it's usually about 30 days in underwriting, 60 days before they fund loans. And you now have people that are halfway through this process, or I have clients that appear to be halfway through this process. We've already submitted tax forms, payroll tax forms for 2019, already to a number of different lenders. So, I mean, the banks are moving on this pretty quickly when you think that this is a government loan. So I think people just need to kind of try their best to dial the anxiety back a little bit. I know this is unprecedentedly horrible times, and the fear is horrific. But this process is moving very quickly if you're looking at it from what a standard government loan process looks like.
So just to take a sidestep
Sure.
briefly, and then we'll get back to some of the loan programs that are out there. So you're in Southern California. Are you in Los Angeles, or are you in Orange County?
LA.
Whereabouts?
West LA, Westwood, right, not too far from UCLA.
Yeah, and I know it well. I actually went down and attended a wet cleaning seminar in Westwood. There's a gentleman, he's actually been for sale, and I wish him luck, because not a good time to try to be selling your business, or a good time to buy your business, depending on how you see it as the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So now your Main Street businesses that you're seeing, they're all shuttered, they're all closed. I know I'm in Victoria, BC, just north of Seattle in Canada. And, we're closed today because we're doing some renovations that were long overdue. So the timing has worked out for that. We'll just be closed for a couple of days. But I mean, yeah, all my friends that own restaurants, they're either takeout only for 3 hours a day, or completely shuttered. The coffee shops, this is outside of Seattle. I think this is the coffee shop capital of the world, and I know of one that's open, and there's 2 Starbucks. There's dozens in town, but 2 of them are open only for a drive-through. Are you seeing the same thing down there?
Yeah, it is. Like you say, restaurants are open for pickup, carry out only. God, I think there would be an absolute mutiny if they tried to close the Starbucks down and close the coffee shops down, because I think everybody, they have to have their Starbucks. So it is curbside pickup or drive-through at the Starbucks I've seen. We have something called Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf down here. I've seen them open, but again, it's just pickup. But yeah, the majority of stores are closed. It's a little crazy. It's a little bit of a ghost town. It's a lot of a ghost town.
It must be nuts. I follow on Instagram a lot of California and Los Angeles posters, people that just post nice pictures, but yeah, the views of the freeway system, being ghost like. Is it actually like that, where there's nobody on the roads, or is it just photoshopped and there's actually a smattering of people on the roads?
No, I mean, I gotta tell you, so my girlfriend lives in a place called Calabasas, in a town called Calabasas, which is in the valley towards the end of the San Fernando Valley. And if I were to leave my apartment on a Tuesday to see her Tuesday evening, if I were to leave anytime between, let's say, 4 and 7, it would take me at least an hour to get there. 25 minutes now. I mean, there's no traffic. I forgot where I read it, but I read something last week that said that the air quality in LA hasn't been this good since the early 60s.
Wow.
So there's a positive there.
Yeah, it's too bad you can't bottle those two positives, right, and save them for a few days down the road.
Yeah, it would be nice. I mean, maybe we learn a little bit about shutting down, for a day or so to, just kind of let Mother Earth heal a little bit. But, I guess if you have to find a positive, that positive is the Earth is healing a little bit. So
Yeah, a little bit for
take
sure.
a silver lining, I guess, a little. So
Yeah, and I mean, I've been speaking with entrepreneurs, and they're certainly trying to find that silver lining, and some of them are saying, hey, don't go down the path of the sky is falling. Look at it as a path of opportunity. And that's what we did in starting this. We'd been doing podcasts locally here. It was a diner style setup, having conversations with entrepreneurs, but then this hit. So we wanted to get it out quickly. And I've always wanted to have a US component to our podcast network. So in other opportunities that might be there would be loan programs. I guess, would they be any state programs, or are they all federal? And maybe you can speak to some of those that are available for businesses. Because here in Canada, we have a couple of different ones where there's, I don't want to call it a Band-Aid solution, but there's a $40,000 loan that the government is backing. So similar to where the SBA is backed by the government, their requirements are, you had to have had payroll last year, and they're very loose under normal circumstances for acquiring that money. Is there similar programs down there beyond the payroll protection?
So I'll be very upfront with you. I've been so busy just with regards to helping people with the PPP, with the disaster assistance program, just kind of getting them in line, because that program is really stalled, unfortunately. Haven't dipped too much into many state programs. Also because I have clients that are all over the country. I mean, I have a fair amount of clients in California, but also a lot of clients in Arizona, some clients in the Dakotas. I'm out Florida, Chicago, New York. I mean, I'm really all over the country right now. So because my clients are all over the place, I haven't really focused so much on more of the local programs. It's been more of the federal money.
So you've got the PPP program. Anything else? Any other bridge kind of loans that are coming down from the feds?
So, I think they seem to be so caught up with the PPP that I don't see much other lending happening. I mean, in listening to the news and talking to some people, it's, that disaster assistance loan unfortunately just kind of stalled. And I think it really did when the PPP kind of started coming up and they realized what they had to do. It seems like that's where they focused the majority of their energies, just because the demand was so great. And, people are using the phrase of free money, which I don't like, because I think that gives people the wrong idea. I had to try to convince a gentleman earlier this week that, first off, this money is not designed so he can continue his lifestyle. And this is not designed so he can grow his business. And not all the money that's going out there is going to be forgivable. There's just this misconception out there that, oh, it's just free money and I don't have to worry about it. That is not the case. That's why they're looking for tax forms. That's why they're, if you look at the documentation they're requiring, it's all stuff that the government's going to be able to verify through things like a 941 a 2020 quarterly 941 report, which is like a payroll summary. My guess is going to be for the second quarter, because that's what I believe they're going to need to show that you brought your payroll back on. And that's how they'll be able to document it. Because again, it's not just free money. You have to be able to verify that you're putting this money towards the right things. And that's where I'm trying to, always come from a point of education with my clients, Um, just remember, just because, you started this process doesn't mean that once you get the money, it's over. Nothing is automatically forgiven. We have steps to take in the future, in 8 weeks from now.
Yeah, there's certainly going to be accountability. I know on this side of the border, it's the same thing. They're talking about a portion of there's a $40,000 loan program here, and there's a portion of that that will be forgivable, provided it's paid back within a certain amount of time. And things are changing all the time. But yeah, it's, as we did a task force, a 3-part task force series with my accountant and his firm, and that's what they spoke of repeatedly. This isn't free money. This isn't a free for all. This is designed to make sure, when the government is saying that we're in this together, the idea is that we all take that view that we are in this together, and regardless of your political stripe, that you work within the confines and the requirements, and say, look, so if it's a PPP program, I'm putting it towards payroll, and that way, when it comes time to show what I use the money for, then hopefully those people that have taken out the loan will have the forgiveness because they used it for what it was intended.
Well, and that's kind of the scary thing is there's, a lot of people are being given wrong information. They're being misguided. And unfortunately, some people are even being misguided by their own CPAs. And that's, the issue is because these programs are changing constantly. If you're not up to date, you don't know. And I mean, this is why I spend a good portion of every day following up with my contacts I have at different banks with the SBA, even some bankers that I know, because I've even heard people getting bad advice from certain bankers, from their bankers. It's just, you have to stay on top of this. You have to be vigilant in researching this every day, because like I said, earlier last week, they said, yeah, you can take a 1099 employee that you pay a 1099, divide their 2019 1099 by 12, to get a monthly average, and you can include that in your payroll. That was absolutely allowed at the beginning of last week. That changed at the end of last week. So there's this, it's just fluid. And that's why I always stress to people, especially now with the PPP going live last week, I'm getting, calls from my clients saying, oh, I just got a call from this company or that company, and they're saying they can help me with this. And it's like, listen, if somebody's just reaching out to you right now saying they can help you and you've never met them before, they weren't referred to you by somebody, don't do it. Only work with somebody if they were referred to you by somebody you know and trust. Okay? Because there are people coming out of the woodworks. I saw somebody post a really nice graphic comparing the PPP and the EID and the disaster loan. And the information wasn't right. And I guarantee you they put some time into this graphic. I mean, the little pictures, it was colorful, it was a comparison, but it was wrong information. And they also said that you can, make sure you research to find out which one is right for you. And that's also completely wrong, because you can qualify for both as long as you're not double dipping. Meaning, you're getting your payroll taken care of through the PPP. Don't try to go for that same amount of money through the disaster assistance loan. You will get turned down. They will not do that, or it will not be forgivable.
Well, that's, and so if bankers are confused, or if, financial advisors aren't, or CPAs are having a tough time navigating it, then you can imagine if boots on the ground, Main Street business owner, it's going to be tough, man, because they're worried about, putting food on the table for their family, whether they can keep, their business open in 3 months from now. So they definitely need help navigating this thing.
Yeah. And that's where I try to come in, So I had a mortgage company back in 2000. And when the market crashed and everything, I went from having, 40 plus employees, 3 offices throughout the country, in 18 months working from home. I had a townhouse in my first floor of my townhouse in a small little bedroom. And that was in 18 months. And I was one of those people back then sitting there with my head in my hands going, what am I going to do? How am I going to live? And so I feel very blessed that, in this situation, I have some knowledge that's useful and I'm able to help people because I've been there. I know that feeling. It is not pleasant, to put it nicely, because I'm trying to keep this, PG-13. So yeah, it's a horrible feeling to have, and that's why I'm doing everything I can, and I'm taking such a personal responsibility to make sure that I'm researching this every day, talking to people every day, because people are relying on me to give them the most current and up-to-date information to protect them. And I
know that, I know that as a small business owner, I appreciate the information that I receive from my accountant for sure. Without them, I wouldn't know what to apply for, how to organize the paperwork. So, I wanted to thank you for your time and sharing this information. We can take this podcast and get it out. You can share it with your people. We can share it to a broader network. And thanks, Todd. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me and letting me talk. I appreciate it.
We'll be in touch, Todd. Take care.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.